and we are live on X. We should be,
Cool. I'm gonna,
at least.
Yes. Where did I send out that link in the chat? I'm gonna send it out here too.
see. Oh,
Yep,
okay.
I see that.
Dude, what the hell happened with this apps?
Yeah,
What did
dude,
I
I
miss
saw
on this
I saw
thing?
the volume alert go on it. Was there
Just
news on
fucking
it after
ripping.
hours or something?
Okay, so here's what I know about this. First off, the setup was super hot. So this undercut, I've been tracking this still since my trade on it back on, man, I don't even know when I bought this. I think at early August at like 290 or something, and rode it all the way up to 450, right? So I caught that big move earlier, and I've been tracking it ever since. And there was a bunch of volume alerts that came in, and this was right after the Google news that dropped about the Google Play App Store. Like they're gonna have to do some things to make it more friendly for, whatever. I don't really know. Anyways, I saw that headline and then a bunch of apps volume alerts coming through, and I pulled up the daily on the second time that they got some volume alerts, and I'm like, yo, this is like a sick undercut and into support and reclaim of all this range. And then I drew out that like 290 resistance on a 30-minute chart. And yeah, just slapped this at 288. And here we are up like 12% right now. I think it's got
Sick.
to go.
It's one of those things that you get such a good entry on that, you kind of just let it ride,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that was cool. Options Flow Workshop. Alex Jones, Man Rav, gonna be running the show on this, talking about some things that they're seeing in the options flow, some charts, maybe some trades that they took, however they want to run it. If there's any questions, I think you can reply if you're on Twitter. I think you can reply to the stream that's being played in the comments on either Alex Jones's Twitter, Brocco's Twitter, mine, which I'm about to tweet it out. We'll pay attention to the comments, and then for everybody in the chat. If there's any questions, comments, concerns, just throw it on in there.
I made Man Rav host for now.
And we will get to it. All right.
All right, thanks, Bracco.
All right, cool. All right, guys. So let me go ahead and I'll go I'm not going to do a super long stream like we usually do. I'm going to kind of keep it a little bit abbreviated tonight, just for sake of time and attention spans and all that kind of stuff. So I got a couple things on my watch list here. I did want to recap a trade that we took actually in Discord today, which was here. So I remember over the weekend that Manrav posted. I'm going to see if I can find it. I had it pulled up earlier. Manrav had something he posted over the weekend, which was copper. And I know that when we played AA, which is not necessarily a copper, but it kind of runs with those names, that they were kind of having some of these flags like SCCO, FCX, and HBM, some of these copper names. And I kind of knew that this flag, I took a look at this chart before I entered it on the daily and this, but I will show you guys exactly what trade we took this afternoon. Let me see here. Sorry, we got so much. We have this new channel in our Discord. This is basically just live flow, all the notable stuff from the day, which is what I do personally is I will go through here and just dig through like, hey, let's look through what came through today and kind of see if we could build some ideas around it. But this was something that came in, and Manrav posted these what is it called? Alcoa aluminum or whatever they're called, AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. These were interesting because they were weeklies. These guys came in not with a ton of size. They came in. My Discord's not working. They came in with the 41 strikes at 39.41 spot price. Clear buying, you can see the implied volatility increase, but when this was before these guys came in, I was looking at this on the daily actually before I entered it, but we were basically you were basically forming a nice inside day at that point, and we had kind of this double bottom through here, right? If you, I'll highlight this. We kind of this double bottom down here, and then this nice move up. We've had a lot of these, gold and silver and whatnot have been having some pretty good moves. But I saw that those weeklies came in, and I kind of like this look that we had this this giant move up. This thing had a 9% day, and it's been pretty much consolidating ever since. And if we go on down to a lower time frame, when did these guys come in? So 8:30 market open. Let's see here. These guys came in at 9:50, so about 10 o'clock this morning. These guys came in somewhere in this area here. Let's see, Monday, somewhere in here. We were pretty much flat on the day. It was, like I said, it was forming an inside day, so I was willing to hold this over a day or so, and then we get this nice push up, and it was just kind of an easy trade. I just liked it because it was pretty smooth. It was forming this nice inside day with that big consolidation in here. I said that I like these with this inside day on the flag, and then I'm pretty sure I posted an update partway through. Yeah, so decent start, 10%. I think these ended up going 35% intraday, which I took some profit on those. So I don't know if I have them in here or not in my journal, but hold on, let me see if they're in mine. There's Oxy. Let me go back to our options flow. Anyways, I did post it somewhere in the chat that these were up 35. Yeah, right here, 14%. These ended up going 35% intraday. It's a nice, easy little range trade on this. We got a nice pop off that flow, and it kind of nice combination when you see those things together. You see an inside day with some interesting weekly flow. I think it's worth a shot. What you don't want to do, let me show you a good example of what is probably a bad idea, is chasing something like this. And I did post these in the Discord today, but Tiger, this thing's been a monster, but these guys were coming in this morning and all last week. They were just hitting, they were hitting these January 25s. Yeah, so these were mostly at the ask here. And these guys came in like, right at open, 8:30, basically. They all came in. I'd have to check OI on these to see, how much of these stick around into tomorrow. I mean, it's still until January, right? But what these guys, I think these guys, I mean, these came in at $2.20 and they proceeded to buy the absolute top. So again, guys, common sense goes a long way with this stuff. Like, do you really want to chase? Do you want to be the guy that's buying the top? I mean, they literally bought these like right here, somewhere within this candle. They decided to come in, and these whales have a notorious thing for, I don't know what it is, but I don't know if it's the volume that comes in or what, but they come and they will chase. So, you got to take that with a grain of salt when you're looking at this stuff. I mean, we will post it just because it's interesting and it's something notable, but I'm not going to chase a candle like that. That's not really in my trading system to chase anything that looks like that. I mean, that's just parabolic. And I think that Brocco actually had a short on this today, which is a nice trade. So just an example. I mean, this thing was getting hammered all day with flow. Doesn't mean it's a good idea to chase it at this point. These guys tend to come in. Yeah, these 20s, these 10, 18, 20s, these guys came in right at the open. They hit these for $1.20, and then I mean, some of these were at the bid, so I'm assuming they took some losses in here. They came in at $1.20 and they were exiting at 50 cents. So that's a nice 60% drawdown. I mean, so I guess the long story short is, use common sense. The flow is useful, but these guys will chase stuff. SMCI, kind of a similar example. These actually, I did post these. And again, for those of you not familiar with this black box system, the alerts are super badass. I really like them a lot. This was earlier in the day here. Let me see here. So these came in at 9:10, and I think this was the highest of these. I got an alert on these. I'll just see if I can find them and show you guys what they look like. These 44s went 365%, and that was the one that I posted in here. I didn't take these because this isn't a name I particularly like to trade. Yeah, these ended up going 300% off the alert, and I put those in there right when they came in. So you can see they not a ton of size with the sizes have gone down since they split the sock or whatever, but you can see they came in and hit these 44s at 9:15. I'm in Central Time. Let me pull this up for you guys. It came in, basically on a smaller time frame here. And they came in somewhere off the open, basically, and they caught this huge move up. I think there was some news today on it with this just ripping. I mean, this went bananas today. And the people were still, and it's funny is if you scroll through that name, later in the day, you could see that people are still chasing this. There was a $900,000 order at the end of the day. And my joke was, where are these guys when it's, dark red, when they're down 7% or whatever on the day? Like I always wonder where these, let me see if I posted it somewhere in here. I do want to get to AMD because that was one of my focus lists for this workshop here. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in here, but they were chasing it with size, which is pretty standard. You'll have these guys chase these big moves, and they want to get into position quickly. I mean, I get it for some of these guys, but again, you're better off buying inside days, using your best judgment, that kind of stuff. But let's go through these AMD because I do like these a lot. So AMD had these 11/8 160 calls, and they put, oh geez, how much premium was on these? I mean, 11/8 160. Let me just pull them up. I do like to reference on whales sometimes because it's a little bit some of their stuff on their platforms.
It's more than 15 million for sure.
Yeah, it's a crazy amount. What's the strike on the strike on this?
The November
160
160s.
Yeah. So let's see what these look like. Yeah, I mean, just one big candle. These guys bought 18, yeah, 21 million in premium in this today. And guys, I made a post on this on Twitter today, but this is not bearish, okay? When they're buying, the implied volatility is going up, the contract price is going up, and they're buying in the money, which is totally reasonable. If you're buying $20 million in contracts, do you really want to buy something that's way out of the money?
Yeah,
I don't think it's a great idea. And this flow does cover earnings, so it's something to be mindful of. But this looks great. I was actually, this isn't the first one on my list I wanted to cover, is this AMD. You get this basically this daily downtrend that looks like it got broken with pretty good conviction, pretty good volume. This is on Friday. I posted this in the morning that has had some relative strength and kind of a boring day on the chart, even though, I mean, this is relative strength because the VIX had a huge day today. I mean, the VIX was up like what, 17% today, something like that. But going back to AMD, oops, not AMC, AMD. I think it was pretty good. I think this is worth a look at. It rejected the 200-day 1-2 times, and then you get this kind of bounce rally above, and then a reclaim of it. And it seems that it's found a lot of support at that 200-day, which is a big level for this name. And I think this is definitely a top watch if semis continue to outperform for sure.
Yeah, and also I think TSDR mentioned that there is an AMD event this week.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was an event on that. I have one more name I wanted to cover, which was Groupon. These guys are doing a little bit of chasing on this. I mean, this had a pretty big day. This had a 9% day. But if you kind of zoom out on this chart, it's still got a decent amount of room, and this volume is a really nice volume candle today. And there were two lines of flow that I really liked on this today. There was these. They were buying April of next year, $13 calls. So they were pretty decently out of the money. And they dropped almost 700K in premium on these. You guys can see that. Yeah, so at 12:30, they came in with this. I mean, that's pretty heavy-duty size on this. And they were also writing puts, which is the other thing I wanted to show you guys. Let me zoom out.
Yeah, they came right at the open.
Yeah, they were. Oh, you know what? I have a filter on. Hold on. So they were writing these at the bid. So anytime that they're writing puts, that's a bullish bet. That basically means that they expect the stock to be above this strike price by this expiration. Essentially what they're doing is they're putting in where they want the floor to be on this. There wasn't a ton of premium on this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 150K or so in puts. There's definitely, gets your attention, but you kind of, when you're looking at this kind of stuff, you kind of put it in context of what does the chart look like? What does the other flow look like? What kind of other things are contributing to this? I think it looks pretty good. I think this has a pretty good, kind of this kind of line, if you want to draw a wedge or whatever you want to call it on here. I still think that this might be good, with those calls that were for April. I think there's nothing wrong with putting them on a watch list and adding them on red days or on pullbacks. and kind of building your position that way. There's nothing wrong with doing that. I think that's totally reasonable on a name like this. I still think there's probably a little bit more juice in the tank. And granted, this does have earnings November 4th, so something to be mindful of, but maybe it runs into that. So, and the only other name that I had on my list before I give this over to ManRev is just MSTR. This was something that had, this a really nice look. I mean, we looked at this a couple weeks ago, and I really like this. And really nice. I mean, we gotta wait for this weekly to close because this is a volatile name, but this is working on the highest weekly close ever, which is it ever? Yeah, highest weekly close ever. I mean, it's Monday, right, guys? So don't full port this, but I think this looks pretty good. I think this is a good look to it, and I mean, obviously, there's with a big move like they had today, you're going to have a ton of flow. Again, this had 100. This is the $120 strike, which I don't think it's not bearish. I'm not 100% sure what these guys are doing on this.
Yeah.
25, 120. I don't know. What's your take on that, ManRev?
I have no idea. Like, maybe they want to, sometimes we never, I mean, most of the time we never know the intention of the options flow, right? My guess is like they wanted to exercise these position, or, I think most of the time when they're deep in the money, they want to own the stock, right? So they might exercise these positions. Like, they have time, like, a couple of weeks or 3 weeks. Yeah, but deep in the money. But again, we have to check OI tomorrow. Like, there are some bids and asks in there, so we need to check OI, and the IV is all over the place.
Yeah, I think that when you're buying stuff when you're looking at stuff that's really deep in the money like this, it's not gonna be as streamlined as like your regular out of the money options flow. So I think that kind of contributes to that.
Yeah, and also the spread too. Like, if it's a wider spread.
Yeah, they were coming in at 70, and but if they're buying these to exercise them, they might not even care what their spread is really. They're just buying it. I don't think I wouldn't say this is bearish. I mean, if you just look at this chart, I wouldn't want to short it.
Look at what BTC is doing, and then look at what MSTR is doing. Right.
I mean, it's kind of leading the way, right?
Yeah. Look at Coin. Look at Riot, Mara. Like, and then CORZ, and then MSTR. And I know Braco nailed the trade. I think I mean, I don't remember when, but exactly he got a great ad on MSTR. Maybe right at the launch pad, I guess.
Yeah, I bought a good amount of shares over the last couple of weeks because it was kind of shaping up, and it looked like it was the strongest out of all those crypto names. And I'm good with holding it for a while. I still think that Bitcoin has room to run personally. So that's all I have for you guys. Do you have any? Let me check the chat and see if there's any questions. I'm trying to.
Yeah, TSDR's tagged you in comment. It says Nancy Pelosi written on.
Is that Paul Pelosi technically? She's the one just feeding them. She's just feeding them plays.
I think so.
She's in our Discord.
Hey, do you want to go XPEV?
Oh yeah, we can take a look at that.
The flow. I mean, remember, like, they were hitting 13 and a half, and 14.
I saw that. Here, let me just pull it up on here. It'll be easier. There was quite a bit in this name. Did I get an alerts on this? Because the alerts are a little bit easier because it'll highlight certain things. So they had these 1350s for XPEV. I mean, some of these China names you don't really know. And this is notable for you guys, for anyone that actually wants to learn how to read flow, is that this was starting at the implied volatility of 100. Oops, I don't want to do that. Of 112. And as it was creeping up, you can see people get thrown off because there's these bids and these below bids in here. I mean, in my opinion, this is probably all buying here because the implied volatility just keeps getting juiced. If they were writing these, you would see it decrease, and then you also see the contract price decrease. So they were coming in at $1.50, and these ended up at about $1.72 by the time they were done sweeping these. So this is my guess is all buying.
And then XPEV didn't move much today. I think it was flat, but the IV and juice pretty much.
Yeah, and we've seen that quite a few times where the stock is basically flat, but the IV is going nuts. I think that's kind of
CVS perfect example.
Yeah, we traded CVS last week where those calls came in at 62 or 63. And the stock literally had not moved $1. The contracts went 20-30% in like 10 minutes. And then they had, I'm actually long on CVS. I actually like this name because it had $1 million flow last week. And it looks like it's kind of trying to break out of this little kind of a base it's been building. It's coming right into the 200 days. So I might depending on how we close, I might trim some of my position into that. This does cover earnings. So earnings are November 6th, but that was a good example that those calls came in last week somewhere in here, and everybody was like, my contracts keep moving up. So before anyone was talking about it, Rocco, 21 MSTX, 2160 starter.
And where is MSTX now? Let me check.
I'm gonna hand the screen over to you in a second, anyways, man.
Sure. It's at $34.
$34.
Yep.
That's a pretty good trade, Rocco. Good job. All right, let me that's good for me. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stop share, and then Manrav, you can take it over from there.
All right. Let me share it. I think you covered most of the can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it. Yep, I got it.
So I think based on you covered majority of the tickers, we saw there is a ton of bullish. I'm assuming last week you covered the China flow, K-Webs and FXI before the actual move happened. Did you guys do it last week? Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, we didn't do it last week, but I did. I mean, that whole channel is just all that.
Oh yeah, exactly.
If you go back in that, either in my channel or this new channel that we have, it's only China flow. I mean, that's all it was for weeks on end.
Look at this vertical yin, man. This is absurd. I kind of dropped the ball on the in trade because I was long, I think here, $22. Okay. I mean, I think I added in shares. I went with good size on it, but I actually sold, I think into 30%. I think on this gap up, I sold my position because I thought this is extended. I mean, only to see it went up 100% more.
That's so crazy. That's such a crazy rip.
Yeah, because with the Chinese, in the last few years, it gaps up and comes back down. So I wanted to lock in profits, but I think I sold on this day. And also I was traveling last week. So I said, I don't want any Chinese positions in my portfolio, but only to see.
Well, we all know that you were going to China, right? You were going to China to pump all these stocks, right? That's what you were doing.
Man, this is crazy buying, guys. I know this is extended right now. But if you look at monthly charts, again, it's been basing for from since 2022 to till now. It's 2 years of basing. It's just coming out. I mean, I think the best trade would be to buy the pullbacks than shorting it. I mean, unless you're a day trader, yeah, absolutely go for it. But I think the best trade is to buy the pullback, mark your pivots, and then buy the pullbacks to ride it. All right, the other trade. I mean, talking about the other one, DocuSign. I think you posted a trade, and then let me see if I can open. Where is it? So DocuSign, I think last week we had a trade for, I think 10, 11. I think 62 calls came in, they were hitting it. It's a speculative flow, nothing big, but I think we got it somewhere here, I guess. I think you and I traded the same trade, and then I actually sold most of it in here, and I was lucky today. I had only few runners here, couple of, I think only 2 or 3 contracts. But after hours, it has this S&P inclusion 600, S&P 600 inclusion news, and it's up 5.5%. Okay, I mean that's a good surprise to have. We never know the intention of the trade. If the flow looks good, we will try to follow it. So I think that's pretty much it on the trades. We covered DocuSign, AMD being the biggest one today. They've been slapping it really hard, and 11.8. That's an odd expiration too. So that is something that we pay attention. Weeklies versus if I see any odd expiration that catches my attention right now. I know you talked about today the market has pulled back a bit, but look at the relative strength of AMD, NVIDIA, and then SMCI. SMCI actually is a clear monster today. I think, I mean, I completely lost sight of it, but going back, I think this was the trade today. I mean, I can talk about what was some of the ways that I usually trade. These kind of triggers, let's say if you have, let me clear everything up. I mean, guys in the chat, like if you guys have any questions in terms of fibs or oops reversals, I can go over. Again, we will try to limit this session to a short one. I think we got time, 10-15 minutes. But let me know if you guys have any questions. Okay, so SMCI, right? Like, this has a big red bar and then the split happened and it has been trading in a very tight range, right? So if you go back into weekly, that's a very tight inside week, right? And that should be on our attention. That should be on our watch list. I don't know why I missed it, but this is a big engulfing bar followed by a doji, perfect doji here. So the easiest way to trade this is on a weekly. This is like a what, $39 to $44 marks, and mark the high and lows, and then the trigger would be as soon as it triggers the 44.23, which is the high of last week. You can take a long trade with a tight stop, okay, with the low of the week as a stop, which is like a $3 stop. Or if you want to really nail the trade, right? So here is a thing that I learned from Mike Webster. He's an IBD. He is a phenomenal trader. He's been trading with and alongside with Bill O'Neill for multiple decades. But here's the thing: whenever you see a big engulfing bar, like it could be a red candle or a green candle, so draw fibs on it. Let me clear everything up again. Okay, so draw fibs from high to lows. If the stock is trading below the 50% fib retracements, okay, I think still the sellers are in control. As soon as the 50% is reclaimed, you can actually try a long trade with a tight stop. Okay, so here the trigger is 42.85, and since 42.85, the stock has made like a 13% move. That was actually an easier trade to do today compared to trading. I was trading other tickers and also SPX today, which is complete garbage, right? So, but this trades like this, you guys have to take it. Okay, you can trade shares or you can trade options. When it was 42, buy in the money calls for a couple of weeks out or a month out, man, they would have paid instead of just trading SPY today. SPY for the majority of the day, it was trading inside day, very tight until the last hour where it actually saw the sell-off after like 1 p.m. Central Time. Like it got the sell-off. Until then, it is just a pure chop fest. And there is no need to take the SPY calls or SPX calls here in this range. All right. So there are other symbols that I am watching. Actually, I will apps, as soon as TSDR said he is entering apps, he got this through TSDR. Are you on? I don't know. Okay. As soon as he triggered that, he said that, okay, hey, I'm long apps. I opened the chart, and then it is a textbook oops reversal. It's kind of a textbook oops reversal. Okay. So what I mean by that is it can actually undercut the lows of the multiple days here, and then reclaimed the low of the day. And then that's a oops reversal, but not like the textbook oops reversal. I can show an example of what a textbook oops looks like is, and then it reclaimed the low of yesterday or Friday. And then I just followed him, and then, man, that was like quite a move. I think we got around 290-ish. Let me go to the 10-minute chart. I think he got 287 was his entry, and then I got around 290-ish or 285-ish here. And then, it feels good when the stock trades or when the trade is green from the get-go. Look at the power of on the buying here, right? And also after hours, it is trading above the 315. So now in this scenario, what the potential scenario could be is, let me see here. When an oops reversal happens, okay, and then if it reclaims the 50 percentile, let me go back to the weekly here. That's easy, much cleaner. Let me delete everything. Where is clear drawing set? So this was an inside week, okay? So, and then it actually undercut the last week's lows, which is 267, and then reclaimed it. So this is kind of, and then if you draw fibs on the last inside bar, if it once it reclaims the 50% fibs, the potential for being an engulfing or reaching the target on the outside, which is 325, is high. Okay, so as long as we stay above this 50%, which is 2.96, and after hours, I think it is trading at 315-ish. So we are above the the open of Friday's bar. So I think the targets are as simple as the 3.25, sorry, 325, 330. And after that, you have to move your stops. And if you want this to be a longer term trade, watch the 200 SMA is still declining. But watch this 200 SMA as your stop. No need to choke this trade. I think, in my opinion, I think 3.3 is coming. I don't know if it comes tomorrow or day after, but it's looking good. I mean, beautiful trade from TSDR, and then I think me and then a lot of guys in our chat has followed this trade, and then we are up 12% within half hour. All right. Any other questions from the chat?
Ref, can you pull up Poet?
Oh,
Poet.
Oh yeah,
that was another name. I got long on that because it's one of those things that you take one look at that, you're like, oh my God, this is going to rip so hard.
I think
it's like that's always my criteria, right? Is you look at it, you're like, oh my God.
It was holding up really well until the market misbehaved, right? And then pulled back. This looks really good. Still looks good. Okay, and then inside day, and then so one thing that technical. I said I don't talk technical today, but look at the volume coming to the right side of the base, right? Look to the left. Let me go back here. Okay, so the volume traded average volume is about 130K, right? And once the institutions or whoever it is, it could be, and then look at the 5 million trades. Once it starts trading 5 million trades and then 10 million trades, I mean, that is somebody accumulating slowly. And then the institutions, when they want to buy, they cannot buy everything in 1 day or 1 week. They accumulate the position. So they buy here, and then they wait, and then they can, this flat base is institution supporting this dip, and then the breakout trader comes in. So long story short, I mean, this is when look at this green skyscrapers, right? And then you can actually draw the levels at the high volume closes. So, and then look at how this is actually trading. This is like a 116 point some million volume shares. And then this is like you can call it a trend line or a pennant or whatever you want to call it. It is tight, and then I think we saw leap calls on this one, right?
Yeah, I have to check the OI on those.
Okay.
Because I'll post these in the chat so you can see them, but they were they came in with let me just check this. I'm gonna post from the chat, man, Ref, so you can see them. But
yeah, it's double inside weeks, and then
yeah. So they had these 116, so 2026 leaps for $10, $10 strikes. So I think that's when I came in and just bought some shares because I just like the way it looked.
Yeah, I think, man, yeah, that's a tricky one. We have to see whether if it's an ad or a.
Yeah, I'll pull up the OI on it tomorrow morning and just kind of take a look. It's not super clear, but I think it's worth a look. If someone's buying $10 leaps, I mean, I'm okay with taking shares on this. If you even pull up on the weekly, and you see those green skyscrapers, it looks insane. Like it looks so
and then
crazy.
Look at it's a double inside week. So I mean, I think if somebody is day trading the 2026 leaps in 50 minutes,
well, that's what I said. I was like, who comes in and changes their mind? Like if they really close their position, like who changes their mind in an hour after buying that, So I don't really care. That's one small order. I really don't care about that too much. I'll keep an eye on it tomorrow, but I still think that this continuation looks good.
I mean, this is good. If you look at now, I'm looking at the monthly chart, right? look at the 4.65 is a major pivot. I don't know if you're looking at my screen.
Yeah, I see it.
So, yeah, 4.65 is above 4.65, dude. Like, there is nothing in there. Okay, it can actually fly. There is nothing
What's
there.
the story? Does it have a story behind it? Is this like an Nvidia kind of stock, or I don't even know what they do?
Let me see
I
what
just
it
bought
is.
it.
I have no idea what it is. It's man. Okay, I don't know. Is electronic photonic device something with AI, or I don't know. Anyways, like
sounds good.
465 is the level to clear, and then we are in inside month, and then 4.44 is exactly where it closed in September. Okay, that's where we are sitting right now. That's where it closed today, and then the longer term looks good. Yeah, I mean it looks good. But 465 is the level to clear.
Yeah.
465. This looks really good.
Yeah, I'm just for right now. I'm just kind of holding it above the 9. It's holding that 9 EMA really nicely on the daily. So I'm just going to use that as my kind of barometer of how well this wants to perform. It seems that the dips keep getting bought at that level. So I think that's a pretty easy kind of invalidation point.
Yeah.
I didn't go super heavy in this, and I have shares, so I'm willing to hold it. It's not a big
Oh,
deal.
yeah.
But this
And
has a
there's
potential. Like, this is one of those names that could just go. Like it went 40% in one day, and now it's just consolidating after that. So
yeah.
I'm good with just holding this for a little while.
So yeah, whenever you see these green bars, like you have to pay attention, and then you can actually mark those highs and lows of those, and then usually they act as support or resistance. You will be amazed like how that high volume closes act as support and resistance, and then how they get supported by institutions. Beautiful.
TSDR says it reminds you of NN. Do you remember that name, Manraf?
Oh yeah, I
NN?
mean they smacked calls on this one, right?
Yeah, so
I think
I'm
right
gonna
here.
actually. Yeah, you know what? I still have. It's funny because when you've been doing this for so long that you pull up charts that you haven't looked at in months, and you still have the exact same trend lines on it, and nothing's moved.
Oh
Let me
yeah.
see if I can just post this. Hold on.
So I remember this, like, I think they actually sold on this day very hard on this red day, and they were actually slapping NN calls left and right.
Mhm.
And then, damn, like, what was this move? This is like a
It went from
136%.
4 to $10 basically.
Yeah, 130% in a month or month and a half. Wow.
I bet you, I posted this on I posted the setup on Twitter, so I'm gonna see if I can find it now. I'll tag it in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here, this one. I'll put this in the chat so you guys can see. I didn't even trade it. I like looked at it and I had this like great idea and I never even traded it. Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
looks so crazy when I just posted it in the group in the main chat.
Yeah, this one I remember this because like this red candle shook everybody off. I mean, I was not in the trade, but they were actually slamming the calls on NN with time. And I think they're buying. This is March. I think they're buying till November or October. I don't remember, but when they were right. They were right. Absolutely. Nvidia, right? So this one, like, we got a trade on this one because this, let me go to daily. Let me delete some of the hide. All right, let me delete this, delete this.
This NVIDIA looks so crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
so,
just
so when a stock moves, like, this is from the second base, right? This is like a 85% on a on a like multi-billion dollar stock or close to $1 trillion stock, and 84% is no joke, right? And it needs digestion. And then if you look at from 2024, early beginning of 2024 to here, it's a 200% move. Okay. And then it needs some digestion. Like, it looks the toppy action, but like, but their earnings and revenue, like they've been guiding up and up, right? So, and then when a stock moves 200%, it needs like, multiple months of digestion. I think that's what it is doing, or it did. So we tried multiple times. I think On the recent trade being, there is a big shakeout candidate. This is a bearish engulfing candidate. And then I was watching the blue line, which is the 50 SMA. And then what happened on 10-2, it undercut the 50 SMA. But these big stocks like Apple's and Microsoft, they get in a bull market. The market has to be right. They usually get support at either 50 SMA or a 200 SMA. So you want to pay attention to how big of a support they're getting it. You want to see the aggressive buying at these levels. So on this day, it undercut, and then I was eyeing this, and then it reclaimed it. And as soon as this is a textbook oops reversal, okay? If somebody is watching, I know a lot of guys are asking, okay, what is an oops reversal? Okay, you have red candle. Ideally, you want to see multiple days of selling. Okay, that for the best oops reversal, like I'll explain on the same on the other side too. So for bullish oops reversal, you want to see multiple days of selling, and then big red candle, and then after that it opens below the previous day, which is here. So the close of red day is 117. The close of 10-2 is 116.44. It breaks, it makes a new low because the low undercuts 115.79, makes a new low, and then reverses. So if you're an aggressive trader, if you're watching NVIDIA like a hawk, you can actually trade as soon as it reclaims the 50 SMA with the low of the day as your stop, okay, which is like less than $1. Okay. Or you can wait until it reclaims the low of the previous day, which is 117, which is like still a $2 stop on NVIDIA. So the advantage with NVIDIA's and Microsoft and Apple's is you won't see a gap down of 4% or 5% unless there is a big catalyst or news. Okay. So usually the gap downs are very less compared to less liquid stocks. Like it could be Aspen or POWL. The probability of gapping down or gapping up is really high. But these stocks, it has to be a major catalyst or some macro news. Okay. For this one, once it reclaims 117, and then I think I took at 117 or maybe earlier than that, I don't remember. I went along with NVDL shares with the low of 115 as your stop. So which is here it's $2, maybe it's 4% or more on the NVDL shares. And then it went, it worked right away, and then as I said, I use the fibs on this one. And then I posted in the chat saying NVIDIA needs to clear 117 for an engulfing move. And then it rejected that day, but it stayed above the 61.8 percentile. And then the next day it gaps up on the trade, I'm just writing the trade. Okay, so right now, think about 18 or 20% in the trade, with 130 being a big level. So, at 130, there will be some profit taking, especially when it moved like 4 days up in a row. But, the ideal price action that we want to see here on this one is maybe consolidate about 125-ish, and then maybe rip higher. But yeah, 130 is a level to clear, or 130 is the next level to clear for the next move. But if it closes below 50 SMA, it's not a good sign. As long as we stay above the 8 and 21 EMA, and I will move my stops to maybe 8 EMA for profit taking, and then maybe for the last one I will do like a 21 EMA. But so far we have a 8 EMA curling up, 21 EMA curling up, 50 SMA curling up, and then this is a leader. I mean, this is looking good, especially with today's action. And then look at the relative strength line is above the 21 EMA when the market is going down, right? So you want to pay attention to what I know. This has been underperforming for a long time, and then right now it's actually showing relative strength. AMDs and when as a sector today, AMD, NVIDIA, SMCI, and other stocks. Okay, don't look now. Up, FXI is down 5%. Okay.
Yeah, everyone's saying in the chat. I didn't. Yeah, I mean, again, we were pulling up that chart earlier. I mean, really, that thing was so extended. I'm not surprised. You're gonna get a day like that.
Yeah, absolutely. If somebody is longing
The top.
anything like this after like a significant move, like what is it? FXA moved like 40, it's an ETF, guys, like a 43% move in 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks. It will need some digestion. Like a 4% is nothing, but it is not a parabolic short. Okay. Can it come back to 7%, 8% to 8 moving out? Look at the gap between the 21 EMA, 8 EMA, and the 50. It's outrageous.
The
And then-
volume is pretty nuts, though. If you
Oh,
look
yeah.
at the volume on FXI, like on the
Mhm.
daily, it's so crazy.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
where,
I mean,
let's think about it this way, guys. Like, what's the risk to reward? Like, what are you willing to risk? Like, how much more do you think you're going to get out of this, right? Like,
Mhm.
if you're longing this, and not saying anybody, full ported this with size, but just saying, like, I'm not surprised that this is pulling back. Like, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying with like Tiger earlier. Like, do you really want to be longing the top of something like this? Like, what's your risk? There's no risk to reward. You're just buying. You're just hoping that it keeps going up. Like, there's
Yeah.
no strategy with that. So.
But there is still a lot of bullish flow into China that's coming up. Tigers and Babas and PDDs, they're buying time though. Like I know the whales like to chase. We don't ever know the intention. But like TSDR as like yeah exactly. Usually they call this a mean reversion trade or a rubber band short or long trade. Um, but like yeah it's not 5%, 36 to like $1. I mean $1. Yeah, it's not that's nothing. We are still trading above right here. Yeah. And then there are still, the stocks like CPNG today, it didn't care about the market. It pulled back because the market was weak. But Coupang, I don't know if there is any news today, but it was in our weekend watch list. Man, that's a nice move on Coupang. Cart.
New all-time high. Oh no, not an all-time high. Yeah, there was a bunch of flow on CPNG today too. They were kind of chasing this breakout.
Yeah, cart. Like this is like a absolute relative strength today. Like TSDR, I think entered, man, like somewhere in the 28, 38-ish or 36 and averaged up. Man, that's a killer trade from him. This is absolutely power. And you can see like when I mean for guys who follow IBD style, the pink darts here is. I know I'm throwing a lot of words in here. This is called relative strength new highs before price, meaning like, the relative strength in the past 3 months has been outperforming even though the price is not made the new highs. Okay. So, and then you have to pay attention. And then as long as you ride this, man, this is a beautiful trade.
It's breaking out of that IPO base too. Like if you scroll over to the left,
Mhm.
what was the high that it hit
I
before?
think this is like a weekly is like a double inside weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Or even all the way to the left with that big candle on the first candle on that thing. What's the high on that?
Oh, this one is like, yeah,
49,
42.
42.95. I mean, after that, there's nothing. It's just
Yeah, 42.95 is high, and the close on the open on the IPO week is 42. So that's a big pivot too. So double inside weeks. I mean, this is looking really good. No questions about that. I mean, if the trend changes, and that's a different story, but looks solid. As simple as it's basing, it moved up, pulled back with the market, or this is like a second base. And then it's ideally like, you want to see like a handle, but it didn't make a handle because it is strong. And then maybe it might do a upper handle here. And then before the move up, cart is looking good. No questions about it.
step trades. I just was going to say that. It looks like Kava 2.0. Like you see Kava when it broke out of that whatever the highs were 57. I was looking at the chart here. It broke over 57 and retested it, and then it ran straight to 120 something.
Yeah.
So
And Kava is a monster. I know, like, I've been talking about a firm for a long time, right? I again dipped my toes today, because the only reason being is the longer term chart. Okay, if you don't want to take any weekly positions or month out positions, this is more like a longer term. I would like to add. So this is a big, it's a much hyped IPO back in 2021. It pulled back, but it made a monster move from 38 to 175 within 3 months. And then the 2022 correction came in. It's based forever. So look at like, it's basing in this range for like, 1, 2, I don't know. Okay. And then what happened? It had a wedge pop. The market again corrected and then it base. And then this to me is a wedge pop again. What I mean by wedge pop is when price reclaims the moving averages. And then right now, what I see this as a cross back on monthly. Okay. So the chances are, and if the market behaves, I want to see this as a oops reversal on the month. We still have a lot of time here. So imagine this is a doji. It opened lower. It didn't undercut it yet. So can it undercut? Absolutely. But once it reclaims the 40.82, I think this will easily take to 47 to 50. Okay. But for now, it's consolidating a pullback or a flag on monthly. So you have to buy time or play with shares. Okay. Affirm, I think this is going up. Only a matter of time. Any other tickers that you guys want me to look at? Big size in Coupang, I think, yeah, 750K came in today for the December calls. Yeah, that's beautiful. Steph, are you on? All right, so I think maybe I will do another session for fib retracements later on, but I think we are coming up to an hour. If nobody has any questions, Alex, I think we can call it at night.
Yeah, that's cool. I think that was good. We're under the hour, so that's good.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this storm from this hurricane. What's it, Milton? This thing is, I don't think there's going to be a Florida left. It's insane. I hope everybody's down there is okay. I hope Grime's all right. It's kind of crazy looking. But anyways, yeah, that covers everything. If any questions, always tag me in the chat. Have a good night, guys.
All right. Good night, guys. Thank you.